Reshanda, thank you so much for joining the Legacy Movement for this interview. We really appreciate you taking out the time to speak with us about your entrepreneurial journey. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So why don't you start off just by telling us, just introducing yourself and telling us about your business and who you are.
Okay. I'm Reshanda Seymour. I own The Perfect Bartender. We are a bartending company in which we bartend private parties and events. So it's more of a staffing company for people who like to entertain, or fundraisers, birthday parties, baby showers, any cookouts, anything in which you want a bartender. That's what we do.
So your corporate client, or your clientele, is a mix of corporate professionals, athletes, entertainers. Give us a little bit of like who you're typically serving.
I don't discriminate. So I have done from your house parties on the south side, where it's BYOB, to two events when President Obama was here. So,
awesome, very cool.
And everyone in between, athletes, entertainers. We do tend to have a client base, professionals, only because most of the time they're the ones that understand the service aspect of what having a bartender provides. So if you're having a dinner party and you want to make sure that your alcohol goes the distance, or you're having a baby shower, and we can create custom cocktails for that occasion, or a wedding. We do a number of weddings. So, just the people who actually understand and appreciate the service and what having that service does.
Awesome. Now, you are based in Atlanta, correct?
Correct.
Now, do you do any work outside of Atlanta? If someone wants to hire you, but they are based in Miami or Chicago, is that available?
Oh, absolutely. We all have passports and we all love to fly. We have done a few parties in Miami, so but we're willing to go wherever.
Okay, great. Well, tell us how you came up with the idea. A lot of times when I sit with founders and sit with users of our ecosystem, members of our ecosystem, they always talk about struggling to come up with that $1 million idea. And what we try to teach is that it doesn't have to make $1 million in year one for it to be a good business. So if you could kind of take us back in time, when you started your business and how you came up with the idea that this would be something that you think would be great for customers.
Sure. Actually, I was managing a hair salon, and I was also bartending, and it was a high-end salon here in Atlanta, and a lot of the clients found out that I bartended on the side, and they started asking me, hey, can you do this for me, or can you do this party or this graduation? And so it was really nothing that I had ever envisioned that I would be doing at this point in my life. But when you get enough people that ask about it, you don't say no, you move forward. And I had done a few, like, okay, sure, not a problem. And I just did a little more research to see that it just wasn't a real large market out here. It's a little more now, but when I started, and it's been 4 years now, there wasn't hardly anyone. So I just moseyed on in there and started it.
So basically you kind of skirted the customer discovery process because your customers essentially came to you and just started asking for your services, and that's how you built your client base.
Correct, because I was already in the service industry. So it was just an easy transition, and I've been in the service industry for, at that point, quite some time, so it's just easy.
So that's one thing that's interesting about how you transitioned into your entrepreneurial endeavor, was that you took your current friends, your current colleagues, you provided a service, sold it to them first, so that kind of took out this concept of risk, because you already had a product or a service that people wanted. You already had friends and colleagues who wanted to buy it, so you're generating revenues essentially immediately.
Correct.
That's a beautiful situation.
And it just so happened that way. But yeah, that's essentially what happened, because they were asking me for a service that I had not yet provided on my own or as a business. And so again, when they started asking, I said okay. And shortly thereafter, then you're like, okay, let me go get some business cards. Let me come up with a name. Let me get a logo. Let me do all of this stuff. But I didn't rush the process because I didn't feel the need. It wasn't like one of those fly-by-night, let me do this. It was more of a nice, easy process. I was able to pace it myself. So it worked out perfectly.
So that's key, I think, as well. A key takeaway is that you didn't feel the pressure to grow your business, at some, certain percentage or certain growth rate because you have an investor telling you, hey, we need to go big and do the whole city right now.
Correct.
You can kind of, basically, because you didn't raise money externally, at least that's how I understand it, you could grow at your own pace.
Correct. And to me, that works better than, like you said, having those investors or having, someone saying, hey, you gotta do this, X, Y, Z in a time frame. It allowed myself to go at my own pace because I don't have investors.
Now, did you ever, that's a great point that you bring up, this dynamic of to raise money or to bootstrap. Did you ever, as you built the business over the last few years, think about raising money, kind of walk us through that process of how you made the decision to do it or not to do it, and kind of what are some of the things you thought about that you were willing to trade in order to have this kind of cash cushion provided by an external investor?
I wasn't willing to trade anything.
Well, there you have it.
It's very simple. I wasn't willing to trade anything because to me, when you do have an investor, then they have a lot of control. They have a lot to say. And I didn't want anyone else controlling what I was doing. And not to say that's always the case, you do have those silent investors, but to me as someone in this economy is giving you their money, they're not really all that silent. And so I will say I'm a control freak, so
a lot of entrepreneurs are.
Yeah.
Cash versus king is a real dilemma.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I wasn't willing to compromise that. And a lot of people are very money driven. We all need money, to just live, but I'm not money driven in the sense of I'm not willing to do anything for a dollar. And so when you are using other people's money and they are not aware of, let's say, that service, they may just financially can afford to support you, but they don't really know all the dynamics that come along with it, then they may want to move at a pace that isn't really beneficial for what it is that you're doing.
So that's a very interesting point you brought up, and a great one about who you take your money from, right? Because there's a lot of chatter kind of out here about smart money versus dumb money per se, and picking and choosing and doing due diligence on your investors. So kind of help everyone understand how you thought about that. If you were going to take money from someone, you talk about these people who may not truly understand your business, so that's a red flag. So talk about how you think about that process for anyone who's contemplating the same decision about raising money.
Well, and you have those internal conversations because and I mean you treat it as if it were you giving out your money. And I know me, I work hard for my money. So if I give someone my money, then you want to have an input. You want them to value your opinion. You want them to take in consideration what you're doing. And that may be difficult if they're not in your industry. Mm-hmm. They may have raised their money in a different fashion. And so when you say, hey, I'm a bartender, I'm providing this service, then they may say, oh, you should try this, you should do this, you should do that. But that may not really work for your industry. And so that was one of those decisions. I was like, you know what? I still was working when I started the business. So every dollar I made, I paid my bills and then everything else went into the company. And that was just a personal decision I made so I can keep control of what it is that I'm doing and how I want to do it.
Excellent segue, which gets to my next question about transitioning out of your previous role working at the salon. A lot of founders I meet with struggle with how do I go from kind of this traditional role, corporate salary, I'm getting this paycheck every 2 weeks, it's covering my bills, to being a business owner and not knowing where the next dollar comes from. When is the appropriate time to make the jump? Walk us through kind of how you transition out of your previous role into kind of full-time entrepreneur.
It is a difficult decision, and it's really difficult for a lot of people to make because of fear. A lot of people are stifled by fear, and that's one of those things. I'm like, look, I know how hard I work, so if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna go back to getting a job. I mean, it's one of those things, but some people like the consistency. They like to know the stability that a check is coming in every 2 weeks. that doesn't really, oh, okay, it'd be great if, you know, money was coming in like on a consistent basis like that, but I manage money really well. So I'm able to manage whatever I'm given or what I work for, rather. And so it was never one of those things, you know, it's just, I was working and then I was like, you know what? This isn't working for me anymore, because it was taking away a lot of time from my business.
Yeah.
And again, I know how hard I work, and so when I was working for other people, I didn't want to take away from their company because I like to give, you know, my all. And so I was like, if I'm going to work this hard for someone else, then I don't have to doubt how hard I would work for myself. So I'm just going to go all in. And again, if it doesn't work, guess what? Just go back to work somewhere. It's okay.
I think those are great points. Time is such a critical asset. It's probably the most important asset, even more so than money. Just being able to have the time to think about the business model, to refine the assumptions, to interview customers, to figure out if you have something that people want to buy. And then, as you try to build the business, how much time you put into building it versus trying to balance a corporate job that you're essentially going to leave anyway.
Exactly.
Right?
You're not giving that person your all anymore, because you're taking, I found myself bringing my laptop to their job so I can check my personal emails and my work emails.
Yeah.
I'm walking away to take business calls from I was like, you know what, I don't want to do them a disservice, but I want to do me a service. So, you know, it's just one of those decisions, and you curtail your lifestyle. And you decide what's important, what do you have to have, because your lifestyle will change. And you have to be okay with that.
So let's delve into that, because that's another critical area around transition, right? And we're going to talk and write a lot about this, transition, and getting you to that path of success, you know, kind of out of the block or out of the box, as I refer to it a lot. So curtailing your lifestyle, talk about what changes you had to make, if any, to household budget, you know, travel, recreation, lifestyle changes that you made that said, you know what, as I go and I try to build my business and I'm managing my cash burn effectively, there may be some things I need to cut out and stop doing.
There are some things I need to cut out.
I would love to hear kind of your thought process around that, and even if you're comfortable getting into specifics to say, hey, maybe instead of drinking alcohol out, I just bought a bottle, you know, at home, drink for a while. Simple things like that can like help people like understand how they're going to manage this cash burn and transition.
Well, that's one of those things people struggle with. They love the lifestyle, and that's one of those things why they don't want to give up the corporate job, because they love the lifestyle that depending on where you work and what you make, what it could provide for you. And that's one of those areas in which people are scared to give up. They don't want to give up, you know, let's say going out 6 nights a week or hanging out with all their friends, and not to say that you have to, you just have to realize that you need to prioritize. First of all, if you're a business owner, you don't even have time for that anymore. Hopefully.
Yeah, if you got customers.
If you have things to do, you don't have time for that anymore.
Sure.
And so that's just one of those things you have to be willing to do. Again, you know, like you said, okay, well, I'm not going out drinking, you know, every now and then. I'm not stopping by the bar, because alcohol out, we all know, can get expensive. I know this. So do I need to buy a bottle at the house? Or is this even something that I really, because if I'm working from home now, I don't have all day to be drinking at home, because I have work to do. So, you know, it's just one of those things. You have to be willing to alter your lifestyle for the better. And a lot of people are instant results driven, and they think it's going to just happen overnight. You know, the money is going to come in now, or you have to be willing to go the distance and put in the work for the results.
Exactly. Agree 100%. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about unique challenges of being a female entrepreneur. Oftentimes, as you know, part of our value proposition is working directly with organizations that are trying to help women become business owners, take control of their financial freedom. And oftentimes, as I sit with female founders, there's a reoccurring theme of, hey, I want to be a business owner, but I also want to get married and have kids too. And so it is a very kind of touchy subject that, you know, I'm not an expert at it. and I don't think anyone is. Everyone kind of, from my experience and my the insights that I glean from people is that they choose what works for them. So I'd love to hear you talk generally about unique challenges as a female entrepreneur, whether it be here in Atlanta, working broadly, working in the entertainment business. Love to kind of hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. I think, just women, they look at them as more passive, or us rather as more passive, or that, some people feel as though they can get by. And especially when I'm dealing with the alcohol industry, I deal more with men. Society, for some reason, of course, we know that women drink, but when it comes to people hiring me, I typically deal, let's say, with the husband, or, even the groom when I'm doing a wedding, because the woman doesn't feel comfortable going into all of the details with the alcohol. And they may say, I'll let my husband deal with that, he's more of the drinker, or, whatever the case may be. Granted, I do have women clients, but that's typically more what I deal with. So they may want to undermine or lowball or, play the cute card or something like that, but...
They basically assume that you don't know your business and they can just tell you anything.
Correct. But for me, I just feel like you stick to your guns, you know what you're doing, and cut the conversation short. Like, this is business. You get the guys and I'm at parties and, they take your card and they call and they say, hey, want to book an event. Okay, sure, you want to meet for, you want to go over, like, all the details, what do you want to do? Yeah, let's meet up, okay. I come with a calendar, I'm, like, ready to take notes, and they want to talk about personal, and I'm like, when's your event? It's because it's Jay, so what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And, and that's happened, and they're like, oh, I want to get to know more about you. Oh, I'm not here for that.
So and you just shut them down.
Oh yeah, it's business.
This is a business conversation, just so you know.
And they respect that.
That's
good.
And
what I found is, and I've had some guys say, what I like most about you is that you are still your business. And they know I'm here to work.
And that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. And a lot of times people mix, especially depending on the industry that you're in. I'm in a fun industry, so they like to mix the business and pleasure. But you have to stick to your guns. Be professional. And that's really all it is. If you're professional, it doesn't matter if you have on 6-inch heels and a skirt, be professional.
Excellent, excellent. So, personal and professional trade-offs. This whole, I'm going to give up my corporate lifestyle. I'm going to go, balls to the wall to build this great business. That's going to take a lot of my time. But at the same time, a lot of female founders I speak with say, well, how much time should I be putting towards dating? Shouldn't I be out here trying to, get married, have kids? Because I want that part of my life too. So I want it all fantasy of, being this kind of entrepreneur, great business owner, but also, having a husband, being a mother, very important too. Want to understand how you think about that, how other female founders that think about, and how are people going about making this decision of, when is the time to either, put the pedal to the metal or take a step back, start dating more. Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'm smiling because this is a topic that I've had my struggles with because I'm single and I would love a family, but at the same time, I like my business. And I would like to start like a different entity within the business, and I know how much time I have now. And I know if I start a different entity, then I'm going to have less time. And that would mean less time to start a family and things like that. What I found is dating is still, you make time for what you want, but it's a little different.
When you're an entrepreneur, you're saying?
Correct. Because time is of the essence. Mm-hmm. And depending on, when your free time is, I find it easier to date another entrepreneur because they tend to understand when you say, oh, I gotta take this call, I have a client calling. Oh, okay, no problem, go ahead, take care of that. They understand what that means versus a 9-to-5er, let's say. And not to say that the 9-to-5er doesn't, it's just sometimes there's some struggles. go back and forth. I still would like them, but I know what type of parent I would want to be. And it would, at this point, I think it will cause conflict because I know how much I put into my company. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to shortchange my family. Like, I don't want to, and I've seen it happen. I've seen the mothers or the fathers who own businesses. It's a little different to me. To me, it's a little different when, let's say, the male is pursuing that, because it's then typically the women that are taking care of the household.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. It's a little different when it's the woman, not necessarily the breadwinner, it's just the woman that's the entrepreneur, because not to say that the man doesn't take on the more parental role, it's just sometimes it's different.
Yeah.
And it's finding a male that is comfortable taking on more of that role and helping out in the home when she may need to take a call or something like that. That's a little different. So it's difficult to find.
So I'm curious to know if, I'm sure you have male friends that are entrepreneurs, do they express some similar challenges to dating and marriage because they're entrepreneurs who are also trying to balance building a client base, dating, and what are the reasons they give why it's not an issue for them?
Well, men have, to me, again, this is to me.
Yeah, it's all personal.
It's all personal. They're on a different time frame. We all know women have biological clocks, and yes, we all know that women are having children well into their 40s. Yay for that woman. I don't want to be that woman. It's an option that I don't want to take advantage of. So the male, let's say, can start, from college and grow a business into his 40s, meet a younger woman, early 30s, mid 30s, have kids, no problem. Versus a woman, if she starts to grow her business from 22 to 40, and we all know there's challenges after 40. Having a child, it was 30 years ago now, depending on the health of the woman, things like that. Yes, she can have a healthy child, but there's a reason why a woman isn't supposed to have a child after a certain age. The pressure that it puts on her body, will she be able to keep up with this child, because we all know children require all 2,000% of energy. And, if you're over 40, you're going to work every day, and then you have a child running around taking the rest of your energy, you're tapped out.
That's all true. I agree.
Now, it can be done, and there are women doing it.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on if you want to be that woman or that husband to do it that way.
Yeah, and that's, another reason why we do these interviews with founders is because we want to use these interviews as teaching tools so people understand different case studies and the way people are going about making their decisions, and they can pull from it what they need to make a decision that's comfortable for them in their situation.
Absolutely.
Right? Because everyone has trade-offs or deal breakers, and it's up to you to decide, this is what's most important to me at this time in my life, and based on these other experiences, I'm going to take advice from these couple of people, and I'm just gonna, see how this works.
But at the same time, I don't want to limit myself. I don't want to say, well, I'm not going to start the other business because I want to meet Mr. Right and have a family. Well, I haven't met him yet, so who's to say that if I don't move forward and pursue the other thing, that I'm going to meet him? And now I'll then, be 50 years old saying, I wish I would have started that. I don't want to be that person either. In
business terms, what we like to say is you would have to pivot.
Yeah.
In that case, if you met that particular gentleman. So
yeah.
Excellent. So kind of, if you could think about, your experiences in the past working for other people, transitioning into entrepreneurship the last 4 years, I'm sure it's been a very interesting ride. Mm-hmm. What are kind of 2 to 3 key takeaways that either you wish somebody would have told you at the beginning, or that you just learned through your experiences that you think would be helpful for any entrepreneur, whether it's current or thinking about taking the plunge? 2 to 3 takeaways, everybody should know these things.
Do it because you want to do it. Not because anyone else wants you to do it, because at the end of the day, I found that you're not going to get the support that you thought you were going to get. You think because you're excited about it, everyone that you know and who knows you will be excited about it. When I found that that's not the case. And so you have to want to do it because they can easily deter you from doing this. They're going to tell you, they're going to run down 3 pages of why you shouldn't do it. And really all you need is one reason why you should. And, you know, that's what I found. A lot of times I found it's out of fear because they may be fear stifling type of person in which it, you know, just stops them. And if you're not, throw it to the wind and, you know, just go for it. I found, you know, certain people I was like, oh, I just knew they would be super excited and they were just like, so what are you going to do about this? How are your bills going to get paid? How this? How that? And you're just like, I'm just going to do it. And you tune them out. So that would be one. Just do it because that's really what you want to do. Be professional and be consistent. If you have a consistent product that you are putting forth 100% into, then clients like consistency. They like to know that you're going to be there on time, and they like to know the type of service that they're going to get every time that they call you. They don't want to have to guess the type of service that they're going to receive, or if today is going to be good, or today may not be great, last time was good, but I don't know about this time. They don't want to have to worry about that because what I do, the service that I provide is a luxury. Everyone doesn't have to have a bartender at their house or at their fundraiser or at their parties. So knowing that and knowing you have to bring your A game every single time.
Excellent, excellent. So on the final note, what are you working on right now? Like, so you mentioned that you're thinking about building a second part of your business. If you're comfortable with sharing that, you know, please do. But tell, you know, anyone who's watching this video, if they're inspired by your story or they want to help you, you know, they obviously can get in touch with you from being a user on our platform, right? But how else can they help you in terms of funding, employees, thinking about that next business idea? If someone wants to help you and reach out to you, what are you working on right now? What do you need help with?
The new project is moving into TV. So not necessarily showcasing the perfect bartender on TV, but starting another bartender-esque show for TV. So that's the direction that I'm headed.
Excellent. So this is reality-based, or?
No. It's real, but it's not reality. It's not like a competition or anything like that. No, not a reality show. Though that's too many of those.
I agree with you there. So are you looking for producers to help you flesh out the concept, or are you writing the script, or?
I have a treatment done. It's copywritten, things like that.
And explain treatment to those who may not be in the entertainment business.
It's just a rundown of what it is that your show for me would entail. So I have like the treatment done. I have a deck page, which is again same thing, but I've just done it in a PowerPoint format to kind of show who your target audience will be. What makes it? You need a quick overview of what it is that you're trying to do. So if somebody asks you, or you can send this in an email format, like this is what it is. Give your bullet points, because them, like anyone else, is busy. I don't have time to read a 6-page, you know, what it is that you're trying to do.
It's an executive summary.
Exactly, of what it is of the show.
Excellent. Okay.
So that's all done. So just trying to get it out there.
Excellent. Well, good luck to you. I wish you the best of success. And the Legacy Movement thanks you for being a member of our ecosystem and for taking the time to let us interview you so everyone can learn from your great story.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.